Okay, everybody, hey, welcome. So I'm Dana. I'm the executive director for people who don't know me. And for the next 15 minutes, I want to talk about Rad Magpie and financial sustainability. And why do I want to talk about that? I get this question a lot. Where do you get your money? We are a pretty unique and special kind of company that went from an idea just a couple of years ago to now having four full-time year-round employees and up to 15 employees at a time. And for me also, there's always, when people ask me that question, I sort of project another question on top of that, which may or may not be true, but I'm doing it anyway, which is, will the money keep coming? Where'd you get your money, and are you just going to keep getting money like that? So real briefly, we started off with a few, I'm going to call them seed funders. We had a few people with plenty of money who really believed in us and gave us the startup capital to hire a full-time team right off the bat. So I'm not saying that Rad Magpie wouldn't have happened without that. It probably would have, but it wouldn't have been the same trajectory. It probably would have been a trajectory that you see with a lot of nonprofits, which is, or startups at all, where people start working after their full-time job and maybe eventually they hit some growth. But we were able, because of that startup money, to just hit rocket growth really quickly. So the first year, again, we just had a few big funders. But in the past year, we've actually remarkably diversified our income sources, because it's not, I probably don't need to tell anyone here, it's not a safe idea to only have a few people who believe in you and feed you money. The more diverse your income sources, the better. So this is our projected income for 2020, broken up by where the money is coming from. So you'll see that we went from 100% of money coming from donations to only 56%. And those original funders that believed in us and gave us money for right at the beginning, they're only going to account for something like 33% of our funding in 2020. So we went from 100% to 33%, which is huge. This was also the first year that we started getting paid to take in outside contracts. So that accounts for about a quarter. I'm also going to note that 25% comes from, 20% of all of our money comes from contracts in Vermont. All of our contracts have been local, from people who believe in us, which is really cool. We got one big grant, which helped a lot. And also something I'm really excited about is that little green sliver at the top. And that is because we launched and charged for our first ever program this year, which is really exciting. This is the first time that we actually launched our own program and charged people money for it. So that's a small green sliver now, but that one's absolutely going to grow now that we've sort of gotten some confidence and some practice in it. And I'll note that even though we went from 100% with those few donors to 35% in 1 year, we actually increased our spending by 50%. We increased our spending because we started to, at the beginning of this year, pay all of our full-time employees a living wage, which is super exciting and was necessary to keep growing at the pace that we had set. So we've started diversifying our income sources, and that is the goal that we want to keep moving forward with. How do we keep making that stronger and keep going in that direction? So the answer to that is, for me, was think like a business, because we may be a nonprofit, but we are also a business. And as the executive director, this for me feels like one of my all-time top priorities is how can we keep diversifying our sources, grow those income sources so that we can be around for a really long time. So the strategy that I've been taking this year and that we're going to keep taking is to go back to these segments, is to focus on, is to break up our income sources by these segments. And then once we break it down that much, it becomes much easier and much more tangible to develop financial targets and financial goals for each of these segments. Once we develop goals for each of these segments, we say like, all right, so we made, I don't know, $50,000 in contracts this year. Next year, we want to do 75. once we come up with those financial goals, we can come up with concrete action steps and move towards those goals. So in this, we're taking control of our income and really like taking concrete steps to making sure that we're spreading out and making each different segment stronger. So let's see. So we've got the way that you can break down what our company does. You can break it down in a few different ways. You start off with Rad Jams. Rad Jams is this is the section of the company that, let's just say the constituents for this, the customers for this are people who've either never done video game development before, but might be interested in starting, or have just started on their video game development journey. So this is usually younger folks, younger than college age. In this segment, we might get hired to do a day-long workshop at GIV, thanks to Robin Perula, who's in this call. Or we may go down to Springfield and teach a week-long summer camp for girls called Girls Make Games. This is usually teaching opportunities for us. A next segment is Rad Studio, which I talked a lot about in the video. That's our 10-week college mentorship program. This is for college game development students. We also have Rad Media. This is our contracting house. So this could be when somebody pays us to develop something for them. Like I mentioned in the video, we had Alicetic pay us to port their iOS app to Android. Or it might be something that we develop on our own. We might seek grant funding or other sort of funding and then come up with our own project. And in doing so, it's still mission driven because we will hire people from our constituency, usually either college students or people who are already out in the job field that we are still trying to support. And then we bring in income that way as well from these contracts. And I like this sort of diagram because it shows like a real clear flow between, it shows all of our constituency from like just starting off or maybe never having done games before, maybe they're kids, or maybe they're older folks who have never tried game development before with Rad Jams, all the way up through college, mentorship and support, Rad Studio, and then at the tail end of college or past college, Rad Media. And then lastly, our fourth income source is fundraising. Let's see. So we're seeking to set concrete goals in each one of these segments for how to grow each one of these and grow the income and scale it up. We haven't been spending as much time with the Rad Jams because we've been spending a lot of time with Rad Studio because it's a huge passion project for us. And we've also had a number of contracts through Rad Media. So right now we're focusing on Rad Studio and Rad Media, but we're looking to in the coming months, coming years, putting some effort more into Rad Jams and fundraising as well. And I'll note that we're not only just trying to grow income through these sources, we're also trying to spend more money as well. In other words, trying to keep healthy growth for the company. We've got we have more people that we'd like to hire and love to be able to offer competitive benefits package to our full-time staff, et cetera. And I'll just note that we are looking to hire a financial planning consultant, basically to help us set those actionable, realistic goals, specifically like for the fundraising section. You know, we raised the X amount of money this year. What is a good strategy and a good goal for us in this coming year? So I put opportunity because if anyone watching this stream is interested in partnering with us, doing any sort of donations, we are seeking funding to help us hire that strategic planning consultant. Okay. All right, so I might need to blast through some of these. Strategic planning, how do we do it? We've iterated on a lot of different ways. A lot of them had to do with Post-it notes and paper and like cutting things out and pasting them on the wall because we're very visual people. What we ended up landing on is something called matrix mapping, which is very, very cool. It was put together by Jan Bell and Steve Zimmerman. The idea is that like when you're a for-profit company, you really just have to think about like, is this product, this service that I'm developing, is it going to make me money? Is it cost effective? But as a nonprofit, you can't just think that way. That would make us a business. You also have to think about, does this affect, what is the mission impact of what we're doing? So every time that you chart something, a program or an activity or anything, you have to think about it, not just in terms of, is it going to make us money, but what, is it aligned with our mission? Does it help forward our mission? So in this matrix map, you've got the x-axis, which is money, making money towards the right, losing money towards the left, and then you have mission. You know, if it's great mission impact, really doing great things for your constituents, higher up on the y-axis, not doing a lot, low on the y-axis. So you take all of your programs and you chart it on something like this. This isn't our company's, this is an example. The size of the circles there are the overall, the price of the program. And then once you're able to chart this, then there are certain prerogatives that you must do. So if it's a star, you have to do this with the program. If it's a heart, you have to do this, et cetera, et cetera. And you should read the book if you're interested more in it. But this is something that we've really taken to heart, and this is how we really take a critical eye at everything that we're considering doing in the future, making sure that we don't have too many hearts, don't have any stop signs, lots of stars, things like that. I also just want to shout out postmortems for people who don't know what the term means. It's basically as soon as a project is wrapped up, taking like a really close critical eye at the processes you use to execute that project and figuring out how you can do better next time. So we are like obsessed with these. We literally do them for everything. Like we already have a postmortem for this party scheduled on Monday. We call fall our postmortem season because we do so much in the summer. And these things can take like up to a month to put together. We're collecting surveys, we're holding special meetings, just collecting all the data and then coming up with an analysis after that. But I wanted to shout it out because it takes a lot, we put a lot of time into it, but for me, it is literally just one of the keys to our rapid growth and success. It's that intentional, critical reflection and learning. Maggie, what time were you supposed to go on at 8?
Yes, I'm supposed to go on at 8.
All right. Okay, I've only got 2 slides left. I'll just finish up by saying we also did an executive reorg this year, which was really important. Oh God, I have too much to say, but I'll wrap it up. And the spirit of our company is that everybody that works with us, whether it's full-time, part-time, year-round, or seasonal, is we really work to find the right fit for the person in terms of like where their passions and their curiosity is and what will challenge them. And as far as the executive team goes, we're like very frequently doing check-ins, reevaluating positions, reevaluating expectations, and keeping an eye for how to keep people and how to keep people happy and and because of that, we're running like a well-oiled machine, which is awesome. And I'll skip that next thing. I'll also, for the last slide, I'll just say we are actively working on board development. We've had so much programming and foundational building kind of stuff that we just have neglected this, but this is becoming a priority from here on out. And I do believe it's directly tied to the future of our financial sustainability. And this is a shout out that we're actively recruiting for board members. So if that's something that sounds like might be a good fit for you, you can go ahead and reach out to me. And that's it. I talked as fast as I could. I guess now, should we just do like a few minutes of questions if there is anything, Maggie? Otherwise, I'll give you the floor.